Today is May 17th, 2026, and welcome to the 488th episode of the So Video Games podcast. Here on the show, I talk about any game at all, including new stuff, old stuff, and anything in between. My name is Brad Galloway, and I am the one-man host of the show, and I'm also the editor of GameCritics.com, a reviews website that score... I don't know. What do we do? I don't know. Nothing. Happy Sunday, y'all. Happy Sunday. Yeah, GameCritics.com. You know it. You love it. We have reviews, etc., etc. Whatever. I'm running lean today. We're not going to be doing any edits, so whatever happens, happens. Let's just YOLO. Folks, welcome. Thank you for being here. It's a Sunday. The wife is out. She had to work today, unfortunately, so I'm kind of lone wolfing it here at home. It's just me and the dogs, all 4 dogs, all 14 chickens. Luckily, they're not all here in the recording studio with me. Big show today, an unexpectedly big show. It's just me, myself, and I. No Jeremiah, no Carlos, and nobody else. But I ended up with quite a few things on the plate today, so I think this will be a good listen regardless, although I may make a number of errors, which I will not edit out. Okay, let's roll on. Let's just get to it. What do we got? Let's just jump into housekeeping. A lot of things here. Housekeeping, where we discuss tidbits, news items, and anything randomly game adjacent in the last 7 days, and a lot of things that are not randomly game adjacent. We're going to just talk about whatever. First thing is an announcement for the 2026 Gaming Awards, GAYMING, the Gaming Awards. They're going to be streaming June 8th at 7 p.m. Pacific, 10 p.m. Eastern, exclusively on WoW Presents Plus, and I will be fully transparent in saying I do not know what WoW Presents Plus is. I'm guessing it is a subscription only channel or a cable channel that I haven't heard of, or maybe it's an online only thing. I don't know. I've never heard of it before. So maybe it's a Twitch thing. Who knows? I don't know. Hosts announced. There will be award-winning voice actor Erika Ishii and RuPaul's Drag Race All-Star Dawn. There will be a number of other people as well. Trixie Mattel will receive the inaugural LGBTQ plus Content Creator Superstar Award for her impact across YouTube, Twitch, podcasts, and gaming-related content creation, which is great. Darian Lowenstein will receive the Gaming Icon Award for contributions to LGBTQ plus representation in gaming and industry advocacy work. The show will also feature comedy and variety-style segments. And the wrap-up here is that this show is positioned to be a broader, queer, geek, culture, and creator-focused entertainment event, not just a traditional gaming awards show. It's probably going to be a lot of fun. I will definitely try to watch it if I can figure out what WoW Presents Plus is. But there you go. If you are interested in checking it out, there's a heads up. Another piece of housekeeping, totally not related in any way whatsoever to gaming at all, is that you may have heard of PCOS, polycystic ovarian syndrome. This is a medical condition that strikes a bunch of women all over the globe, all over the world. Many women in my own life have this same thing. So just quick tangent. I just want to do this as kind of a heads up. I'm not going to get super medical, although I have worked in the medical field in various capacities for like 30 years. So I know a little bit about medicine, but they just recently changed the name. It is no longer going to be called PCOS. It's going to be called PMOS. And the new name for this thing is polyendocrine metabolic ovarian syndrome. Just really quickly in a nutshell, I think the reason they changed this after my quick scan is that the original title, polycystic ovarian syndrome, was a bit of a problem because I don't know if you know, but I know a lot of doctors, and doctors in general are fucking robotic tools with really big egos attached to them. Not everyone. There's been some great doctors, but I've met a lot of doctors who are actually dipshits. And I know that in general, we kind of like idolize them and think they're so smart and know everything, but a lot of times they just memorize facts and are very pedantic and really don't think outside the box very well. I've met many of these doctors myself. And so what ended up happening was if a woman came in with symptoms of PCOS and then the doctor looked at her and she did not have the cysts, she might have had like literally every other symptom in the world that's attached to the syndrome, but not the cysts. They'd be like, no, you didn't got it. Get out of here. Fuck off. Take some ibuprofen and shut up. That's happened to people that I know personally. They've had very bad experiences with doctors in dealing with the syndrome. And I think that the rationale here is if you change the name to polyendocrine metabolic ovarian syndrome, take away the cysts, that means doctors, because they are fucking robots, will be more open to looking at the whole person, the endocrine system, the liver, different hormones and everything so the whole syndrome doesn't just hang on the cyst. So I think this is ultimately a good thing. It's going to lead to more women getting the proper treatment. It's going to be leading to more doctors opening up their fucking eyes and being a little bit more awake and diagnosing people properly. I mean, I think probably a lot of women suffered for many years because they couldn't get a proper diagnosis because of that one quirk in the name of this syndrome. And hopefully this will fix it. Fingers crossed. We'll see. So anyway, if you or someone you know has PCOS or had it or is dealing with it, or maybe, just it's a factor and they haven't gotten proper treatment, please inform them that is now changed. It's now PMOS. Encourage them to go back and find a better doctor and maybe they can get the treatment that they need. So just a general heads up. I love women. A lot of my favorite people are women. I love healthcare. I love, people being healthy. This is my PSA for the day, so please check that out. Getting back to games, Zebra, super fan, super listener, super cool dude, Zebra, who listens to the show and also hangs out in our Discord, has created this amazing fucking thing, totally on their own. It's so cool. It's called, I don't know if there's an official name for it, but they have created a fan page, I guess, that looks at every episode of this podcast in numeric order. And then you can click on those and you can see exactly what games were covered. So if you're like, oh, did Brad and Carlos ever talk about XYZ game? You can enter it into the search and it'll go through and pull up whatever episodes we talked about that, because each episode has a breakdown of what games are there. And then when you go to that particular podcast, it has, you can toggle this on and off. There's pictures for each game. So if you want to look at the logo, you can see what the logo looks like. There are links that take you to Steam directly. I wonder if there's anything. It looks like just Steam so far, which is totally fine. Whatever, doesn't matter. We're not advertising sales for anybody. So you can click on those, see the picture, go to Steam if you want. And then they have also the episode description of whatever I typed in that day. So there's a pretty great breakdown. Great way to search all these hundreds of podcasts. Looks like almost every episode is up there. I think there's an issue with like some of the earlier episodes. I'm not sure if I coded those wrong, or maybe that was before we switched hosts or something. I don't know what the deal is. I'm going to be talking to Zebra about that. But so far, this looks fucking amazing. It looks really, really cool. I'm so impressed and so flattered that anybody thought this was worth doing, because I guess they must really enjoy our show. And that to me is the highest compliment anybody could possibly pay me and Carlos and Jeremiah and everybody else who works on the show. So Zebra, man, thank you so much. This is freaking incredible. It looks amazing so far. I'm so impressed. I'm just really kind of blown away by how much effort you put into this. This is like fan-fucking-tastic. So I don't know if it's ready for prime time right now, but if you do pop over to the Discord, I believe that Zebra will make it available there if you want to poke around. It may not be live, or maybe it's still in the beta phase or something like that. But come on over. If you are in the Discord, you can talk to Zebra, you can talk to me, or if you're not in the Discord, you can also join. I'll talk about that in a second. But this function looks fucking great. And I was talking to Zebra yesterday, and they were saying they were most proud of the Carlos toggle. There's a little button. I was fucking laughing so much at this. If you go to the top of the page, there's a little button that has like little devil horns, and it says Carlos. And if you click on that, it will filter out the episodes that also have Carlos on them. So if you are a big Carlos fan, you can just click on those and you can get like the Carlos appearances. If you, or I guess if you don't like Carlos, I guess you can filter them out or whatever. I don't think anybody doesn't like Carlos, so that's silly. So you can like filter that out. I think that's super awesome. That's very funny. I really appreciate it. So Zebra, you're the best. Thank you so much for doing this. This looks great. So if you want to check out this page, go into the Discord or join the Discord, and you can find a link there. And I'm sure we'll be talking about this a little bit more in the future. So that's fucking fantastic. Love it. Made my fucking day. Okay, let's see. What are we going to get to before we get to that? Let's do some questions. Right before I recorded this morning, I put out an ask in the So Videogames Discord to see if anybody had any Qs. I provide the A's. Let's go. Good old Leechman pops up with a question. He says, Lego Batman Legacy of the Dark Knight is imminent. Will you be playing this at all? He says, hopefully. And that was in parentheses. Leechman, my good man. Love you, buddy. No, I don't think so. To be perfectly honest, man, I feel like I'm disappointing you specifically a lot lately, and that is kind of hurting my heart, but I got to be honest with you. Got to keep it real. I'm not really the biggest Batman fan in general. I don't dislike Batman. But I am not the biggest Batman fan. I'm not bat crazy or anything. I mean, I've seen the movies and I've read some of the comics and such, played some of the games. So I guess I'm fine with Batman, but I'm not like a super fan, you know? Like I probably wouldn't go out of my way. And I gotta be honest, I'm not the biggest fan of the Lego games. I just don't really get a lot out of them. I'm not much of a Lego fan in real life either, and I know that might be heresy to say. I've enjoyed a Lego set or two in my day, but I just don't have the patience for them, I think, and I make a lot of mistakes in them. I guess I just suck at Lego. It's probably a me problem. My wife, super Lego fan. She is Lego maniac. She has a room full of Lego stuff, and she loves doing Lego, and that's her jam, and I love her for it, and I support her for it, and I support her habit, and that's cool. But Legos just aren't my thing. I think the most time I've ever spent with a Lego game was Lego City Undercover on the Wii U. And that was because my son really got into it. That was when he was young. And at that point, he had just gotten to the age, whenever that was, where he was really able to play intentionally. Like he was able to, he knew what he was doing. He understood what games were. He was very young, but he got it, right? Like he knew if I do this, I control this, I can collect this. And he played Lego City Undercover all the fucking time. I think that was one of his favorite, like, real games. That wasn't just like a little mini game that a little toddler could click on. Like, it was a real gamer game. And so he spent a lot of time in Lego City Undercover. And I believe there was co-op in that. And so I was playing with him. And we would take turns and do all the Lego City Undercover stuff. So that one is the one that I got into. But just because my son really enjoyed it. So I hate to say it, and I hate to disappoint you again, my friend, but I'm not really stoked for it. I have a pretty full plate right now, and I'm guessing it's going to stay pretty full for the rest of the year, so I don't think I'm going to go for it. If we do cover it in reviews, somebody else will probably take it, but I mean, unless it's like, holy crap, like it's just like furthering the boundaries of video games, or it makes you gain a new understanding of the human condition, maybe I'll jump into it, but I'm guessing that's probably not going to happen. So I might just give that one a pass. Sorry, man. I hate to disappoint you. Oh, I feel bad. Another question. Getting back to Zebra, who we just talked about a second ago. Zebra says, what is the most recent console you would classify as retro? I had a discussion with friends yesterday about this. So this is a good question. I know that, like, you know, retro is a constantly shifting thing, and I think everybody's definition of it is different. I am certainly an older guy. I've been around as long as games have been around since the start, so I have a little bit of a different perspective. I think for me, if you were to ask me literally right now, which is actually what you did, I think I would say the newest console that I would also call retro, I feel like I want to say the PS1. And I say that because I see a surge of developers who are copying PS1 graphics. And so I feel like, in my mind, if something has been around long enough that some people are coming back around to it after a generational gap, you know, because some people who are making games today, I guess, were not alive when the PS1 was around. And so they're looking back and they are copying the PS1 super blocky, tank controls, fixed camera, Resident Evil-ish, or just like rough graphics. I've seen a lot of indie developers do that kind of thing as a retro throwback, and I personally don't care for that style. But I get a lot of it. I get thrown a lot of it as editor of GameCritics.com. I see a lot of those every day. And so that's what I would say. I would say the most recent thing that is also a retro thing is, for me anyway, PS1, because it's been around long enough that people are coming back to it unironically, like with nostalgia or discovering it for the first time. And I think that's where we're at. So that's what I would say. Let me know what your thoughts are. Folks listening, I would love to know your thoughts as well. Agree, disagree. Let me know what you think. Drop a comment or jump in on the Discord. Let me know what you think. Last question comes from My Tainted Brain, which is funny because every time I see this name, I always think it says My Tainted Brian. And then I think that there's some guy named Brian somewhere who got bit by a snake and he's poisoned, or maybe like a bug bit him and his arm is turning purple because he's got like venom or something. But it actually says My Tainted Brain and not My Tainted Brian. Just something funny that I think of every time I see that. Tainted Brian says, we're getting to the end of spring here, hitting 30 Celsius from now on, or 86 Fahrenheit for those so inclined, which is me. Rainy season soon, humidity ramping up, and then summer in the high 30s and 40s, which is about 104 Fahrenheit and more than 80% humidity. No real question. I just want to rant. No! Only joking. What advice do you have for a gamer that wants to stay cool? Air conditioning only does so much. 2 air conditioners and a dehumidifier barely hold it at bay. Any advice for a gamer living in Japan? Well, that's a good question. I have never been to Japan. I do not live in Japan. So I bet the Japanese probably have some very specific things that work well for their own region and culture. I would advise you to check in with a Japanese person in Japan first and see what they think. That said, I always have an opinion on everything. So when it's hot here, and it is getting hotter, I mean, global warming, I think we're all going to be pretty fucking hot before too long. So what do? I shut all the windows and shades in my house to not let any extra sun in. In my area, I have attached like wicker curtains, which are actually kind of like a sunshade on the outside of my house. And so like it's not my indoor curtains. I close the indoor curtains and then I go outside, and attached to the edge of my house are these wicker roll-up things that you can unroll, and then they block an extra layer of sun from getting in. So that stops the heat from even getting in your house in the first place. I have an air conditioner. You have an air conditioner. You have a dehumidifier. I have a dehumidifier. Beyond that, I have a basement. I don't know how prevalent basements are in Japan. I think playing in the basement might be a good idea. You can block the sun, maybe natural insulation. The sun doesn't get down there too much. I think basements in general are pretty cool in general. And I think other than that, I think maybe just play at night. There's been many times here in Washington and Seattle where I'm like, it's too fucking hot. I'm too fucking hot. My console is too fucking hot. If I play games right now, not only am I going to be suffering, my console's going to melt down. And sometimes I just do something else. I just like lay flat on the floor and sweat for a while until the sun goes down. And then when it's dark is when I fire everything up, because, you know, electronics make heat and playing games make heat and everything. So maybe you need to become a nocturnal gamer. I don't know. Other than that, I mean, I guess that's all I got, bro. I guess that's all I got for now. I think we're all going to have to get more creative, though, because I think the Earth is getting warmer and we're in a lot of trouble in terms of ecological stuff. So maybe we're all going to get real creative. Maybe there's going to be some new solution we can think about or look forward to. But in the meantime, that's all I got. Hopefully some of that was some help. Fingers crossed for you, my friend, my sweaty friend. All right, folks, let's move on really quickly. Let's talk about some stuff that we published over at GameCritics.com this week. All right, let's get this window open and take a look here. It was a good week this week. We had a review of Elementalis from Alex Pracken. It's kind of like a Zelda-like throwback, retro sort of thing, 2D-ish. He really liked that one a lot. We had a review of Kotama and Academy Citadel from Ben Schwartz. Ben is a crazy writer. I love his stuff. And this is like a anime-flavored Metroidvania. We had a review of Big Hops from long-absent Game Critics writer Mike Susky. It's always a great day when Mike gifts us with a review. He's a very talented writer. If I had 10 Mike Suskys, I could take over the whole fucking internet. I guarantee you that. Great guy, great review. He kind of mirrored my feelings on Big Hops. I kind of wasn't the biggest fan of it, and I think Mike has captured some of what I felt about it. So that's a good review. Last review of the week, I think, Titanium Court from Justin Granfield. Man, he loved this game. This is probably one of our highest reviewing games of the season. It looks really interesting. I hope they bring it to console. It's kind of like this tower defense, but there's also some other stuff like a roguelike something in it. And then there's like some crazy writing. And it seems like just a big mishmash of stuff that just really came together really, really well. So that looks like a real winner. So coming over to GameCritics.com, check it out. We run multiple reviews every week in addition to hosting So Video Games there. Guarantee there's something that you would like to see. Also, heads up, YouTube is still there. YouTube.com/@GameCritics.com videos. Was a slow week. Not sure we posted any new trailers, but Eugene's always got something going on there. And now, before we get to the main part of the show, let's talk about the nuts and bolts, I guess. The Patreon, the cost of running this show. Just a quick heads up. Everything that it takes to run So Video Games and sister site GameCritics.com, everything is paid for out of my own pocket. This pocket, literally right here. If you love the show, you love the website, if you love both, I would invite you to chip in and help me keep everything running. If everybody listening or reading would chip in just $1 a month, just one single dollar, every expense for the whole shebang would be covered. And if you can afford it, I would really appreciate it. If you are feeling supportive and would like to donate, You can do that over at patreon.com/the So Video Games Podcast. All right. Oh, and the Discord too. I'll mention the Discord. I'll just say it now. If you want to get in the Discord, just hit me up. I'll have all the contact information at the end of the show. It's free of charge. You want to get in the Discord to see Zebra's new cool webpage or just to talk to us, please do that. Hit me up. Okay, we'll get back to that later. All right, circlebacks. No circlebacks this week because I was really busy playing other stuff, which will become clearly apparent in just a moment. So we're getting right into the new stuff this week. Let's see. Full disclosure. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4. Every single game here except for one was sent to me by the publisher. The one that was not was Wax Heads. I'll get to that in a second. That was on Game Pass. But every other game I'm going to talk about today was sent to me from the publisher for free. So there's your FCC disclosure right there. All right, let's get to it. First up, Shadows of the Afterland. This is a 2D pixel-based point-and-click style adventure, very much harkening back to something like a LucasArts type game or one of those from that era back then. I think the graphics are very cute. I think it's very attractive looking. Beyond that, I can't say that I had a great time with it. The story is intriguing, though. You play a lady. I believe this game takes place in Spain, I think. She goes to talk to like a tiger at a zoo. I guess she's like friends with this tiger. She kind of like vents to the tiger. After she talks to the tiger, her soul gets kicked out of her body, and then she becomes like a ghost, but her body is still there. And she watches her body like jump off a bridge and kill itself, I guess. And so she goes to heaven or purgatory. It's like like an afterlife that looks like you get processed as a soul and you walk around and do stuff. And then you kind of take it from there. People have told me it's not a very long game, like 4 or 6 hours. But to be honest, I kind of noped out of it pretty quickly. Despite the graphics being pretty cute and having this strong opening premise, I feel like it's hemming a little too closely to some of the older school designs. And I'm definitely like, when it comes to point and click, I'm definitely like a new school design. So what do I mean? I mean, I like these type of games to be very streamlined and to be very pacey and to move. And I feel like right off the bat, there were too many locations and too much talking, too much dialogue. And I just wasn't like in the game quite yet. So I started like feeling, I mean, even though it's not a huge game, it's not massive or anything, but like right away I was like, ugh, okay, like I want to just get the groove of this game, get the vibe before I start talking to every single person and looking at all these different locations. It just felt like the pace of it slowed way down right once you got past the beginning, and it had trouble kind of like dragging me in. I prefer like the new school of point and click design where you have much fewer locations, you have much less dialogue, you have an eye on keeping things moving. I don't think the puzzles are going to be very challenging in this one, which is fine. I'm not anybody who ever picks on puzzles being too easy, but I think it just like it got really muddled and bogged down right off the bat, and I found it difficult to stay engaged and to make progress when I talked to some guy in the store. He's got like 5 or 6 different topics to talk about, and I'm not even sure I even need to talk about them. I'm not quite sure what I need to do, and getting thrown into a location and just having to search around and kind of just figure things out. Not my favorite way to start a game, especially one like this. So it's very cute if you are looking for, kind of like a slightly older school feeling point and click. This might be your jam. I think the art is amazing. Just not for me right now. I need these things to move a little bit more quickly for me these days. So I bounced out pretty quickly, but I do think it's got some stuff going for it. And if you're a point and click fan, definitely give it a look-see. It might be just your thing. So that is Shadows of the Afterland. All right, up next we have Wax Heads. This is on Game Pass, and it's one that looked kind of cute. It caught my eye a while ago. I like the art style. It looks like hand-drawn, kind of scribbly type characters. You play a new employee of a record shop, and people will come into the record shop and ask you for recommendations, and then you need to go and find a record and sell it to them. So you're in this like record shop. I don't know, are record shops even a thing anymore? We had one around near my area for a while, but it closed. And I haven't seen another music or record shop in quite some time. I guess with all the streaming and everything online, maybe it's not really a thing anymore. Surely there must be one somewhere. But anyway, kind of funky and cool. So you get into the store and then people come up and they're like, oh, I remember this one record that was like jazzy and there was like a dog on the cover and I can't remember the name of it. And do you know who that is? And then you take those clues and go into the store, and you kind of look around at the shelves. And at least at the beginning, you don't have very many records. You have maybe 10 records total in various locations. And you just, you can rule out the rock and you can rule out the experimental. And then you get to the jazz section, and then there's 2 or 3 records there. And then you look for one that has a dog on it. And then you bring it back to the counter and sell it. And the person goes, "That's amazing," if it's the right record. And if you give them the wrong record, then they say something like, "Oh, this is not quite what I had in mind," or something like that, or whatever. So that's kind of the gist of that. There's a story there. They try to tell a story of an older rock group that broke up, and the owner of your record store is one of those people. So there's some drama going on right there. So it seems interesting enough at the beginning, but I got to say, I also fell off this one pretty quick. The dialogue is just okay, I guess. But the thing that really got me, though, was just the gameplay feels very repetitive almost immediately. Just walking through the store and looking at the records and people giving you these clues and going to look at the records and giving it back to them. It just is kind of dull and boring. It just wasn't really that exciting. There's a couple other things in there that I saw that kind of spice it up. I mean, at one point you're designing a poster by putting stickers on a piece of paper, which is a thing to do, I guess. And there's also one point where you're the new person and they tell you to go clean up the bulletin board, and you have to figure out how to get all the bulletins on the bulletin board in orderly fashion, which was fine for a while. But you're going to just come back to doing the records. And after I don't know, after half an hour, I just didn't want to do it anymore. I'm bored of this and I don't want to recommend any more records. And this is just not really that neat or fun. And I kind of bounced. So it looks cute. I love the graphics. There was some good background music going on, which is obviously a plus for a music game like this. But it just did not grab my attention. The gameplay didn't feel engaging enough, and I just couldn't stay focused on it, so I bounced pretty quickly. But it was Game Pass, so it wasn't a big loss. I'm glad that I played it. I'm sure that people out there will like it. I'm glad that Game Pass hosts stuff like this. Was glad to dip in, but just not for me. So there you go. Wax Heads, currently on Game Pass, and a bunch of other places as well. Next up, Dungeon Clawler. That is Clawler. Obviously a play on crawler. They have switched the L for the R and made a little jokey joke out of it. There you go. This is is it a roguelike? I mean, it must be a roguelike. I guess it's kind of a weird genre mashup where you play a rabbit, an anthropomorphized rabbit who also has a gambling problem, and then his paw gets chopped off and turned into a lucky rabbit's foot keychain, which is dumb because if he was lucky, he wouldn't have lost at gambling in the first place. So actually, it's a bad luck rabbit's foot. Why would you want that? Doesn't make any sense. Just pokes holes in the entire premise. Fail. That said, so you want to, I don't know, get revenge or something for them chopping off your paw, although you should have been doing illicit gambling in the first place. It's kind of on you. I don't know. I see there's issues here. So what it is a 2D combat game, but the reason they call it Dungeon Clawler is because you use a claw machine. So on the left side of the screen is you, the rabbit. There are other characters to choose from. From the title screen, it seems like there's 20, eventually 20 or 30 characters to get unlocked later on, but you've only got 3 or 4 to begin with. And I picked the basic guy. So you're on the left side of the screen. Enemies show up on the right side of the screen, and then in the background is a claw machine. You put in a quarter and you move the joystick, and that metal claw goes around and then drops down. And if you're lucky, it grabs a stuffed animal and brings it back out and drops it out for you. I'm sure most of you listening to the show, if not all of you, have seen a claw machine. If you don't know what I'm talking about, because I guess arcades aren't really a thing anymore, just Google, claw machine, claw redemption machine, something like that. You'll see what I'm talking about. It's also that thing from Toy Story where and I forget it was Toy Story 3 or Toy Story 2 where they go to the claw machine and the little aliens worship the claw. It's that thing. Anyway, so what happens is you have a series of attacks that are connected to your character. And my guy had sword, a shield, a big sword, and one other thing. Coin, maybe? I can't remember. And those things get dropped into the machine, and then you get a certain number of attempts to get those things out of the machine, and then you use whatever you get. So, for example, you're fighting a slime and a rat or something like that. Nothing happens. You go to the claw machine and you shoot the claw out, And hopefully you grab, like, let's say you grab like a sword, and a shield. The claw drops those things out. They roll down to you, the rabbit, and then you do attack with a sword, and then you gain a little bit of protection with the shield. Then the enemies take their turn, and then wash, rinse, repeat. Between rounds, you can add new things to your mix. I got a lighter, which I didn't understand what it did. It didn't seem to do anything. I got a shield that had spikes on it. I got something that increased my strength. I got some other kind of attack. And those things get added into the machine. So you can see where those things are and then try to grab them with your claw. And just like in real life, the claw will sometimes grab the right thing. Sometimes it'll drop something. It's better than a real life claw because in real life, you barely ever get anything out of these. But as long as you're halfway decent in this game, you'll get at least something. It may not get everything that you grabbed, but like you'll get 3/4 or half of what you grabbed every single time, which is fine because otherwise you'd just be screwed playing this game. So that's kind of it. After you beat a battle, you go through these little maps and there's other little places to stop. There's like a shop. There's like a fortune teller that kind of changes things that you find. There's upgrade area, like your general roguelike stuff. I mean, nothing hugely surprising there. Overall, it was like fine, I guess. It kind of started off kind of poorly because the tutorial is sorely lacking. And as you all know, if you've listened to the show for more than one episode, you know that like poor tutorials just get on my wrong side immediately. Like I really, really insist strongly as someone who has made a career of being in communication that you start off your game properly. And doing a shit tutorial is not the way to do it. So this game is not nearly as intuitive as it thinks it is. The claw machine is pretty intuitive, but like what the items do and how they work and how the whole systems work is just not really that intuitive. You pick it up after a while, but it's just, you don't need to really go through that confusion. Why bother? And doing the claw thing is fine for like a few minutes, but like after a while, it just gets kind of boring. This essentially just feels like kind of like a substitution for like having a deck builder basically, because you can add things to the machine and it kind of functions like adding cards to a deck, except you're going through the motions of doing the claw thing, which I guess adds a little bit of randomness to it because you may not always be able to get the thing that you want, but maybe you can sometimes get the thing that you want. It just feels kind of cumbersome and like kind of drawn out, and it just kind of felt like just a different way to do the same kind of deck building thing that we've already seen a bunch, and it didn't feel like there was a lot extra going on here. Now, I didn't spend a whole lot of time on it, but one of the biggest things that I noticed was like when you play a claw machine in real life, you will, you'll see something cool and you're like, oh, I really want that thing, and you go for it, and if you get it, you're so excited, right? In this, it just felt like you were going through the motions to get your basic attacks. Like there was no bag of 1,000 coins or flaming sword or nuclear bomb or anything like that. There was nothing special in these claw machines, and so there was no excitement of getting something cool. Like you didn't have that gambling feeling of like, oh, just one more try. Oh, that cool thing in the back, really hard to get to, but if I get it, how amazing would that be? It just feels like you're just going through the motions of getting your basic attacks, and I don't understand why they bothered. Like there should be extra dangers, there should be extra surprises. If you get a good claw grab, there should be something really cool. I think they kind of missed that aspect of it, or maybe it comes in later. To be fair, I was in the very early stages of the game, and I was like, okay, this is already getting kind of boring. I need you to spice this up a little bit, because I got through like the whole first map, and I'm like, this just feels like basic ass. I mean, this could be a deck builder, like a regular deck of cards deck builder. Didn't really like capitalize on the claw machine aspect. The only thing that seemed kind of unique to this was sometimes the claw would drop stuff on the lip of the machine right before it gave it to you, just like it does in real life sometimes. And then every once in a while, like those things would get bumped and you get a couple extra attacks out of it. But I mean, kind of so what? Like it wasn't really that big a deal, and there was no way to reproduce it, and it was just like a random thing that happened once in a while. It just felt grindy and flat and predictable, and like this weird framework of doing stuff we've already done in a million other games. And from what I saw anyway, I mean, I can't say for the entire game. Didn't finish this game. Maybe there's more stuff later. But from the part that I saw, they just did not really capitalize on the gambling rush or the thrill of getting something extra cool from a claw machine. So there you go. I got kind of tired of it, like in about, I don't know, like an hour. I was like, okay, I've seen like plenty. I don't want to see any more. This is good. Kind of a neat idea, but just not quite there for me. So I bounced. Dungeon Clawler, yeah, there you go. All right, next we have Tethergeist. This is a 2D precision platformer. Lovely pixel art, and I think this is a very sharply put together game. It shows a lot of craft and care, so I definitely respect it. The story is a little bit tough to grasp at first, but I think I got it. Like, basically, you're a person who, okay, let me back up. Sorry, I'm fucking this whole thing up already. In this world of Tethergeist, people can send their souls out of their body and just, like, I don't know, astral project all over the place. And your main character has a tether connected to her spirit, so she cannot fully detach from her body. And this is like a coming of age, hey, you're 16, time for your spirit journey thing. So this is like a very common, like, everybody does it, like, totally normal. This is just expected of every person, and your character can't do it. So when their ghost goes out of their body, there's like a line attached to it, and that's where we get Tethergeist from. Geist meaning ghost, and tether is tethered to your body. So there's more story to it, but you pretty quickly get to the platforming, and a lot of people are comparing this to Celeste, which I think is a pretty accurate comparison. You go to these various 2D platforming challenges, and very often you are projecting your ghost out, and then whenever you push the button again, your body goes to where your ghost is. So it kind of like catapults you forward. So for example, let's say you get to a platform that you can't reach. It's too far away. You hit the button, your ghost comes out. It can stretch as far as the tether goes. Usually that's enough for your ghost to get to the platform or just above it. You push the button again, your body goes zoop, and it goes right to where your ghost was, and then you're there, and then you fall down on the platform and you make it. So there are lots of different iterations on that concept, and that's how it goes. So I think overall, good concept. I like the idea. I think it works well. It controls well. I think it's all a really, really tight and interesting package. The problem here is that I think it's too hard. Celeste is well known for its difficulty, but the developers, gave a lot of accommodations and accessibility options. Infinite jumps, invulnerability, if you just want to fly and don't want to jump at all. They gave you all sorts of options to get through the story, and I think that was great. I love more options and not less. There's not really any options in Tethergeist, and this is the kind of platformer where, I don't know about you, but I played it very loudly and hardly because I was trying to nail timing so specifically, and I was so focused. Like, I was making a lot of noise with the controller, and that I could hear myself, and I'm like, Jesus, I'm really going hard at this thing, because it was like, it's not very forgiving. When you send your ghost out, I think the whole thing kind of slow-mos for a minute, which I think is fine, but it still doesn't freeze time. It doesn't help that much because your body is still falling even when you're in slow-mo, and very often there's not much clearance. And so you'll jump, there's spikes below you. You got to get your spirit out there. You hit your spirit. Your body is very slowly falling at the same time. And I can't even begin to count how many times my body hit the spikes before I was done with the spirit part. So that happens a lot. There's a lot of just really like difficult sections where you got to jump, fall, send out your ghost, do it again. And the thing that really complicates this, the thing that puts this thing on another level of difficulty, is that you have to get these items in order to do the spirit walk thing. It's not just an ability you can do. You have to have, it looks like a flower or something. So if you have no flowers, you cannot do it. Like, you push the button and it looks like your spirit's kind of struggling to get out of your body, but it doesn't leave and you can't do it. So you have to like jump, grab these things that enable you to do exactly one spirit walk, and then you do that. And very often you have to daisy chain those between. So like, you're jumping, catching the item on the way down, doing the spirit walk while your body is still falling. Hopefully you teleport yourself to where the next flower or whatever it is, you grab that thing, and so forth and so on. And that's really what makes it so fucking difficult, is because sometimes those, like, trying to catch the flower or get the next flower without running out, you have to be kind of creative about how your flower usage. Sometimes you use them up too many before you get to where you're going, and you run out, and then it's just like, oh shit, I got to figure out a way to be more economical with my jumps, and so forth and so on. It's very difficult, and I think it takes each puzzle, once you're past the opening section, takes a lot of thought. And I didn't really want to work that hard. Like, it was very, very hard. And I think the thing that really pushed me over the edge to stop playing this game, and I did stop playing this game, is the checkpointing. I do not think the checkpointing is good here. Going all the way back to Super Meat Boy, which is where I think was the first instance of where we saw the theory of you can make a game 10 times harder than you normally would make it if you put the checkpoints 10 times closer. I think that theory holds true. You can make something really, really difficult, but if a person can iterate on it at a very rapid speed, it keeps frustration down. And I don't think the Tethergeist developers nailed that. There's many times when I would get to a jump, fuck the jump up, have to go back either one whole screen or just a couple of seconds beforehand. And like, I don't want to go back that far. And it seems like not a big deal. Like adding 1 second, what's 1 second? No big deal, right? But when you're getting really, really frustrated at these high precision jumps, even having to do that 1 second of extra gameplay or 2 seconds, or God forbid, a whole screen again, drove me up the fucking wall. Like I could feel my frustration growing and growing and growing. And I think they really should take a lesson from other platformers that are difficult like this. You've got to be able to just bam, 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 get the player back in there to keep the frustration down, or give them things to mitigate it, right? Like take away the flowers or give them infinite flowers or do some kind of options and let it be player controlled. People who want the stiff challenge can get it. People who want a little bit less challenge can get it. I think I would certainly play through this game if there were some concessions, if it was a little bit easier, if I could adjust it to my taste. I would have played this when I was like 20 and I would have called it, a badge of honor to defeat this game. I'm not 20 anymore and I just don't want to work this hard and I don't want to be like so focused and so frustrated on something like this. So I think it's well made. I mean, I think it's a Swiss watch. I think it's great, but it's just not for me. And I think the developers are asking a little bit too much of the player. I think the wise move these days is to offer more options, not less. And just that, those checkpoints, just like even putting a checkpoint just that further back makes a huge difference when you're in the middle of getting so mad at this jump. You just want to keep trying again. You just got to try and try and try. And just adding time to that just drives you up the wall. So I think, as I always say in the show, the best time to play any game is 6 months after release. I would be willing to bet money that in 6 months' time, Tethergeist will probably have at least a few more options that make this game more playable. They may adjust the save points. They'll do something to it to make it a little bit more palatable to a wider array of players. And I think it'll be probably a pretty awesome experience at that time. But right now, it's asking a little bit too much, and I just don't want to pay that fee. I just don't. So I'm out. But I think it's well done, though. It's well made. Anybody looking for a stiff challenge, there you go. Tethergeist, kind of enjoyed it, kind of didn't, but I think it's a good thing, just not for me. All right, next on the agenda is Black Jacket. This one is a very cool customer. This is basically, you play a person who has been sent to hell, and you need to play blackjack or several forms of blackjack in order to get out. Now, we've had a lot of gambling games, recently, but I think this one is really nicely done. It's very classy, feels very elegant. I think blackjack is a good game to do this with. I love the art style. It's kind of creepy, kind of hand-drawn, kind of makes me feel kind of weird in some kind of way, which I like. It's good stuff. So basically, it's not as simple as just regular blackjack, though, which is a game, one of the few card games I actually do understand. Like regular blackjack, you are trying to get to 21, but along the way, there are like a whole bunch of different modifiers and cards and rules that switch it up. So enemies on the top of the screen, you're on the bottom of the screen. You lay your cards down in the middle of the screen, and you have like different things. So for example, like depending on where you put your card on the screen, there might be like 5 slots that are empty, and you can place your card at any one of those. Maybe if you put, 3 will have nothing, but then like maybe the 3rd slot over, 4th slot over will have adds 2 to the total. And the 5th slot over will be like steals 1 coin from the enemy or something like that. So you can strategize about, what card do you have? How many do you think you're going to play? Where do they go? You can put them in there. And I'm not going to get like into all the rules right here. It's a little bit too complicated to get into, but let me say it's more complicated than just regular blackjack. There's also different types of decks. I have not unlocked all the decks yet, but depending on what you have, they can have different abilities. Like the clubs, I think, mess with your opponent's cards. The hearts, I think, buff their own cards. So like depending on which deck you have different abilities that normal cards wouldn't have. And all the way down to little things like, for example, in the deck that I'm using now, if you have a face card and you put them side by side, let's say you have a king and a queen. If you put the king on the far left and the queen on the far right, nothing happens. You get a 10 and a 10. But if you have a king on the far left and you put the queen right next to her, or right next to him in the next slot, she gives him a +1. So instead of 20, you would have 21 and you'd win the game like that. So there's lots of little rules like that. There's lots of modifiers depending on where you put on the board and which deck you're using. And then in addition to that, there's other specific cards that mess with other cards that'll cancel out somebody else's card, card that will be like in the negative. There's a whole bunch of like little attributes and stuff. I will say, so I like this game. This is definitely a thumbs up game. It's a cool concept, cool presentation. So what needs work here? I think the tutorial could be a little bit better. I think they don't necessarily explain the cards as well as they should, and some of the terms that they use are very specific to this game, and they're not immediately intuitive. Like there's been a few times when I thought a card was going to do something because I read the description, I put the card down, and then something weird happens. I'm like, oh, that's not what it meant. It actually meant this. And so, learn by doing, I guess. But I do, as I just said a little while ago, appreciate a better tutorial. Tutorial could be better. And some of the things, you do have to kind of keep a lot in your head. You have to remember, okay, well, this card does this, and the opponent's card does that. How does that work? A lot of interactions to keep track of. So it's not super simple. It's not as simple as you think blackjack might be. But at the same time, I have really enjoyed my runs, and the runs are quite short. When you start a run, it's almost like a regular roguelike run or like a Slay the Spire type run. You get your cards. There's a map with nodes on it. You get to choose which node you want to go to. You go there. There's an encounter. There's a shop. There's a free item. There's a, a story bit or something like that. And then you play through. But the runs are short. Getting to the boss is like maybe two or three card battles, and that's it. Like, it's pretty quick. And then if you win that one, you can keep going. I think there's 4 bosses in a row that you have to beat to defeat the whole game. But that's not really that much of a lift once you know what's going on. Said that, I haven't actually beaten the game yet, but I've made pretty good progress, and I think I have a pretty good grasp on the rules. So I think it's about just kind of like, unlocking extra cards, working on my deck selection, working on my approach, what combos work and that kind of a thing. What tricks do I want to do? There's a lot to learn here. There's a lot to learn. There's a lot of nuance, but I think it's really great so far. Really enjoying it, and I think it's a pretty class act. So if anything I've said sounds good, trying to win your way out of hell by playing blackjack, I think it's worth checking out for sure. Definitely a thumbs up. Just go into it knowing that you're going to have to learn the ropes a little bit. But I think so far I've been pleasantly surprised. So liking it. That's Black Jacket. Keeping with the theme of, gambling or whatever, we have Slots and Daggers. This one has been on PC for a while. It just came to console, playing it on PS5. Also, love this one. This is a great one. I'm having a blast with this. For quick and dirty and lazy reference, this reminds me a little bit of Clover Pit. If anybody's played Clover Pit, that was on Game Pass for a while. Not exactly the same, but kind of in the same general bucket sort of a thing. Not very much story to this, but that's totally fine. I don't think this game needs that kind of story. You have a slot machine that starts out with 3 rollers, and you get a little TV screen attached to it. There's like little accoutrement around the side of it. There's a coin tray, a little area for power-ups, and so forth and so on. Hit points and shield are the other things that are on the screen. So you see this map of this fantasy world, and it has a bunch of stops along the way. Start at the left, work your way to the right. And in the beginning, you just have so it says pick your icons. And what that means is, what do you want on the rollers when you pull the slot machine? So in the beginning, you have a coin, a shield, and a dagger. Dagger does basic damage. Coin gives you a coin. Shield gives you some shielding. And then you get into the first battle. First battle is like an egg with feet or something. And I will say the artwork in this game is fucking awesome. Super abstract, super minimal, sketchy, erratic, dark, shady, shadowy. I really love the art a lot. Like, it's super, super minimal, but I think it's also very expressive, and I think it's very emotive. So I think the art style is totally on point for this game. I'm a big fan. So you pick your symbols to go on your rollers, and then you just play slots. You roll once per round, and whatever comes up. Let's say you get some coins come up. It gives you some coins, and you can use those for power-ups or, to buy various things. If the daggers come up, then you do an attack. If the shields come up, then it gives you some shield points that go on the screen. And then it's the enemy's turn, and they attack you. They attack you. If you have shield points, it deducts from your shield points first. If you're out of shield points, then it goes to your health points. And then you just kind of go back and forth. As you might expect, if you get 3 daggers, then you do like extra damage, or you get an extra attack. If you get 3 coins, you get more coins, so forth and so on. But like many games of this ilk, and kind of just like Black Jacket, like I talked about, there's lots of modifiers. There's lots of coins to earn. You can earn those coins and give yourself permanent buffs, like more life, more defense, different. You can open up more slots. Instead of having 3 rollers, you can have 4 or 5 rollers, which means you're going to be rolling more abilities, more damage. So I think that's great. And I think there's lots of neat little touches to this. The way that all the powers come together is really elegant and well done. And when you get like a jackpot of some type, then you get to go like extra, to give you extra damage and stuff. It feels very good to do that. It's very straightforward, easy to grasp. I think it really works well. And they have these little extras in here, like extra little mini games and stuff. Like, let's say, for example, that instead of a dagger, you get the broadsword or the greatsword. And when you roll the greatsword, there's a little timing-based mini game. And if you do really well on that, it gives you extra damage. There's a crossbow and a bow and arrow. If you use those, there's a little crosshairs that shows up on the screen. And then you have to like shoot your arrow when it's on the target. It's a lot harder than it sounds. So I love that they do these little bonus games that almost feel like you're in a casino. Like if you're playing like a video slot machine or like a video pinball machine, sometimes they add these little extra bonus games to do. And it feels like that. It feels like you're playing a very souped up slot machine where you have all these extra options. As you get into it, you can have these different buffs that you get added. And some of them cost money, some of them don't. So it also becomes a mission of not only managing your damage and your life and grinding towards better unlocks, but also like managing your money so you have money to buy upgrades to the stuff you have in this particular run. And also like, healing costs money. So if you have enough money, you can heal yourself. So it's like managing your rollers, managing the actual rolling itself. Then you're also managing the meta level of like your progression. Then you're managing the money for the moment to moment stuff on the run. A lot of micro decisions, a lot of budgeting, but it all comes together well. It's very fast, very intuitive. Death comes quickly, but I think once you level up a little bit, increase your life, increase your defense, things go a lot further. My first run ended pretty quickly. Second run, I went like 3 times longer. And now that I bought some stuff with the resources from that second run, I'm going to go even longer on the third run. I think it's just really, really well done. It's really smartly designed, well balanced. It obviously takes cues from other things in the genre, like Clover Pit being the biggest example, I think. But it just does it really well, and it has a less oppressive feel to it. It feels more like you're playing a slot machine rather than you're trapped in some kind of hellscape or something. And it just is very fun. I'm having a great time with this one. I like the way it plays. I like the way it feels, like the way it looks. Everything about Slots and Daggers to me is just coming up roses. So definitely a big thumbs up. Really recommend this one. If you like this whole, I don't know, this nouveau gambling genre that we're into, the cards and Balatro and slot machines and all that kind of stuff. Seen a lot of these games lately, but this one to me is quite fun, and I probably will stick with this one for a while. I'm really enjoying myself. So big thumbs up to Slots and Daggers. All right, final game of the show, and this one is a banger, or at least it will be to a certain selection of people, and I am in that selection. Froggy Hates Snow. This one came out of nowhere, and I haven't really heard anybody talking about it. So this is a very unusual one, but I think it's a brilliant one. It's a really addicting one. And if you like roguelikes, this is absolutely worth your attention. It does a lot of things very differently. And this is probably the most chill, pun not intended, roguelike I think I might have ever played. It's just so fucking weird and different and cool, and I love it. So the premise is that you are a frog in the middle of a snowfield. It's shown from an isometric kind of overhead perspective. In the middle of the snowfield is a little warm bubble, cozy bubble. Inside's like a couch and a fireplace and a little box to level up at. And you leave the bubble and you have a health meter and a heat meter. You must return to the bubble when your heat meter gets low. And then your health is obviously, just take care of that. So you start digging through the snow with your hands and you just like dig around and you'll find some gems, yellow gems, red gems, blue gems, and green gems. And they all go towards leveling up things. So like you dig around for a while, you find some gems. You're going to find yellow gems first, inevitably. And you can only hold like, I don't know, 10 or 12, which is like nothing. But you got to bring them back to your warm bubble. You drop them off, you level up. You can level up a whole bunch of things like how much heat your body generates, how many crystals you can carry, how fast you dig, how fast you run, how much life you have, and like a bunch of other things, like lots of stuff. But it's all very straightforward. UI is easy to understand, very clear, very intuitive. This all makes perfect sense. I think it's all great so far. So you level up some stuff, you go back in the snowfield, you dig some more, and you get some more gems. You bring them back and you level up, and then eventually you'll get to every few minutes or so. There's a combat round where a little battlefield will appear, and then you have to fight these black monsters that are all in various shapes and sizes, very kind of abstract looking, and they all have different powers. They're all easily identifiable by their shape, and so you'll know which one, like the square one shoots rings, and the one that's a squiggle will heal other guys, and the guy that looks like a nozzle will shoot something at you. Like, they're very easy to visually identify. So you do that, You kill them by whacking them with your tongue, and then you beat them up. You get some hearts back from them to refill your life if you took some damage, and then you get a little DNA modifier. The DNA modifier will give you either a buff to one of the things you already have, like make you run faster, dig faster, carry more, or it'll give you new power. And this game has a shitload of new powers. It's great that they put as many as there are in there, because I think that's really like the beauty of where this goes. So I think one of my very first abilities I got was like a wagon. And I'm like, wagon? Okay, sure. Click the wagon. And you get a little radio flyer wagon that you carry with you. And then you can absolutely stuff it absolutely full of gems. And so like if one of your problems is not being able to carry much gems, you got the wagon, you stuff the wagon full of gems, you carry it around with you. You can pick it up, you can drop it. It acts the way a wagon does, bring it back to base. Or like later on, you'll get different stuff. You'll get different attacks. You'll be able to spit poison instead of shooting your tongue out. You'll be able to get a scarf that lets you be out in the cold a lot longer because it's keeping you warm. You'll get a cup of hot tea, which is actually honestly one of the best power-ups in the whole game, because when you're cold, you drink a cup of hot tea, refills your whole heat meter. You can dig faster. I mean, there's like loads of stuff. There's like drones, there's robots, there's flamethrowers, there's pickaxes, there's guns, there's all sorts of stuff. Like tons and tons of stuff. And a lot of the stuff is just activated by simply playing through the game. You can go to a screen where you can see all the power-ups, and it'll say, oh, if you want to get the trampoline power, then you must activate the jump power 5 times or something. So you're like, okay, cool, I can do that. You go do that, you unlock the new thing. And then after you get this new power, the trampoline, that'll unlock like something else. And so this whole very nicely scaled, nicely escalating ability of powers. Now, the thing that's beautiful about this is that even though each run is essentially at its heart the same, like you're in a snowfield, you're going to be digging through power-ups. Like that doesn't really change, but like there's lots of little bits that really make this a journey worth taking. So for example, you'll find ice in the snowfield. Sometimes you have to get a special ability to dig through it. Sometimes there are these little like anomalous things that pop up. They're little micro puzzles you have to figure out. Sometimes there's bombs in the snow. And you're also just like searching for things as well. So like you never quite know what you're going to find. So there's like a little micro variety in that. But then also you don't always get the same power-ups every single time. So I mentioned the wagon, which is one of like the fucking killer go-to power-ups in this game. If you don't get the wagon, if it doesn't pop up for you, that completely changes your playstyle. You're like, fuck, okay, I'm used to having the ability to carry 500 gems at a time with the wagon. Now I can't. Now I can carry 50. That means it's going to change your playstyle. You're going to be running back and forth to the heat areas, or there's other things as well. There's like a drone that can carry things for you. There's also one of my favorite things. You get these penguins. If you can unlock the penguins, you get a penguin buddy, and he walks around with you, and he'll carry your shit for you. Like he'll just go and automatically find the gems, and you can get more and more penguins. And then like you'll have this whole herd of penguins carrying gems, and so you don't really have to worry about carrying them anymore. And stuff like that absolutely changes your playstyle. It depends on what you have available, where you're going to put your points, what that is going to feel like in your run through. So like, even though these are kind of micro changes, they're all so notable and substantial and relevant that I can play like several different runs, and like each run has me doing something completely different. If you get the radar ability, which doesn't pop up all the time, but if you get the radar, it'll tell you like almost exactly where the resources are. So then your game goes to kind of running and dashing to get those resources as quickly as possible while the radar is active. If you don't have the radar, then you're like blindly searching, and that means you're going to have to be in the heat. You're going to have more heat resources because you're going to be in the cold longer. So like it really changes how you allocate your points and what that playthrough feels like. Now later on, you'll unlock more frogs, and each frog has like a different ability. Like one guy will come automatically equipped with a snow shovel. So his snow shoveling power is like 3 times more of the base frog. But then he might have less life. Or like maybe there's another frog who spits poison from the get-go. But he has like, he cannot tolerate the cold as much. And so like depending on which frog you have and which power-ups come up, it could like, even though you're still a frog digging through snow, it's going to have so many different implications on each run that like you really have to strategize. What do I have? What can I make the most of? What do I need to do here? And each level has like 2 or 3 different objectives. They're the same objectives. Sorry, that's my dog Paisley. Someone's at the door. She was sleeping right next to me very, very peacefully. But she's very sensitive to visitors, and she went tearing up the stairs, barking, gonna rip the mailman's head off, or whoever's up there. Anyway, getting back to the game here. I think it's just elegant as fuck. It's so brilliant. You're just doing way less combat. Like combat is sporadic, and honestly, it's pretty easy. Although you have like lots of combat options available. I mean, you get like the tongue or the poison or the spit. I think one of the guys has like a Gatling gun that shoots snowballs. All sorts of stuff. There's even more stuff I haven't unlocked yet. I haven't unlocked everything. I've gotten through maybe 3/4 of the unlocks because I've been playing this game pretty obsessively since it came out. It is like so easy to just do one more run, and it just like is hard to put down for me anyway. So I love the moment to moment decisions, the kind of making do with what you have, how that alters your strategy, how that alters your focus and your priorities each time. And these are all like, they're not game changing. I mean, it's not like the game is completely transformed, but it just really does change what you do. And that's really what I like about roguelikes the best. I think the traditional roguelike of, you get an item, what do you do with it? How do you best use this thing in the situation? Moment to moment tactics, quick thinking. Those are the aspects I love about roguelikes. And unfortunately, roguelikes recently, and I've said this before on the show many times, have kind of pivoted towards the grind, where I play a lot of modern roguelikes where it's like there's no chance of ever beating the game unless you put 20 hours in, because you need to grind to get all the power-ups so you can survive long enough and unlock all this other stuff, and like there's just no getting through it. And I think that's really misunderstanding the core appeal of a roguelike. I don't think grinding should be associated with a roguelike. This is a longer discussion that we've had a couple times on the show. I'm not going to get into it now. You can talk to me in the Discord if you want to talk about it. I'd love to talk about it, but I'm not going to clog up the airwaves here with that whole spiel. But basically, let me just say that I don't think grinding is a thing in and of itself that should be a core part of any roguelike. And although there is a little bit of grinding here, I'm not going to say that there isn't, because it takes a while to unlock some of this stuff. You unlock so much of it just by playing, just by experimenting with the different items. You unlock a brand new item, and by the time you've played around with it for 1 or 2 rounds, like you've unlocked the thing associated with it. So it's not really onerous at all. One thing that I did find a little bit strange is that they do make you basically play each level twice with 2 different characters. And at first I kind of like took a little umbrage at this, but then the more I played, I think it was actually kind of a good idea, because it does force you to use other characters. Like it'll say, for example, you must use 2 different characters. So you got to beat the level twice. And each character plays so differently, depending on what they come with and their base form. You can also upgrade them and get some different abilities. So they just automatically force you into seeing more of the game, more of the way it plays, more of the different options. Every run, despite on its surface being about a frog stuck in a snowfield, they do feel like surprisingly different. For example, in one run recently, I was the basic frog because he comes equipped with a map, which is pretty useful. And so I'm doing that run. I'm really focused on having the wagon and having, locating the gems as quickly as possible. And unfortunately, one of the goals of that particular map was to clear a certain amount of the snow, and I just didn't clear it. I never found the shovel. I didn't get the blowtorch. I didn't get the snowblower. I didn't have anything that would really help me clear enough snow. So I'm like, okay, that's fine. I'll focus on what I can do, which is beat the boss and collect enough gems for an upgrade. And then I did like one other thing. And then in the next run, I had to choose a different guy. You have to beat it like with 2 different people. So I chose the frog that comes equipped with the snow shovel. So he automatically has like 3 times the snow clearing power. So I did that, and I didn't worry so much about beating the boss or getting the other thing. I was like, I'm gonna max out for snow clearing ability. So I got the snow shovel. I got the flamethrower, which you can turn on and just like lays waste a whole big swath of snow. I got the snowball flurry, which like decimates a whole snowfield, and I got a bunch of other things. And so like I was really focused on min-maxing for a certain build because I had a different goal. Even though it was the same level, I was doing completely different things, and it felt like very different. And so I just love that this game does so much with so little, and I love that it's all super straightforward and clear, intuitive, easy to understand, and taking the focus away from combat, because most of the game, 3/4 of your time spent is going to be clearing snow. And that sounds like it might be boring. It is not boring at all. It's super, super fun, super hard to put down. Every time my wife walks by, she's like, "Oh, are you doing that frog game again?" I'm like, "Yes, ma'am, I am doing the frog game, still doing the frog game, and really enjoying this frog game." I definitely am going to roll credits on this. I'm just having a blast with it. So I just love that they do so much with so little, and they are so smart about their upgrades. And they pay attention to the details too. Like the way the little penguins carry the gems, or the way you hold your wagon, or when you get the scarf upgrade, you're actually wearing a scarf. Or, they really they make it look like you get the thing that you do. And some of these things have multiple uses, which I think is another brilliant aspect of a roguelike. The wagon is great because it carries a bunch of gems, but also you can use it to weigh things down. There's a couple puzzles where you need to put something heavy on a pressure switch, and you can put the wagon there. So it has multiple uses, lots of stuff. The snowballs can clear a snowfield, or they can also blow up a bunch of enemies, or there's lots of little different use cases for each one of these things. And if it seems like it would do a thing and you test it out, it likely does that thing. So whatever you can imagine, whatever use you might have for these things. Most of the time they do. So overall, I am super, super impressed with Froggy Hates Snow. I think it's super good. It's cute. It's fun. It's super addicting. It just is brilliant. Very elegant, super elegant. And it is a roguelike in every sense of the word, but it puts its efforts and its time into other aspects that most roguelikes don't. And I think that's brilliant. They're really kind of flipping the script on this one by putting so much time on procedural exploration and character development, and way less time on combat, even though there is combat. And it just feels so different. It is just chill and laid back and relaxing and just so fun. I really, really love it. My only note so far, I wouldn't mind a little bit more variety in each of the levels. Usually you're clearing snow, finding a treasure chest, and beating the boss, which is all well and good. But I wouldn't mind a couple little sub goals every now and again. And I will also say, this goes out to the developers. There's a power up you can get, which is an owl. And the owl is supposed to scout the snowfield and let you know where you should be searching. In the PS5 version, it doesn't do a fucking thing. It doesn't work at all. So I think that's just a glitch. It's probably a problem because I've gotten the owl a couple different times. I've leveled it up to the max and I don't notice anything happening whatsoever. So I'm pretty sure this is just a problem with the owl on PlayStation. Just know that. It shouldn't dissuade you from playing the game. You're not going to see the owl every time. It's no big deal. You can ignore it, and I'm sure they're going to patch it soon. But it was just like a weird thing that stuck out because this game seems to have so much TLC applied otherwise. It just has so much care and attention to detail. It was surprising to see the owl didn't work. Anyway, love Froggy Hates Snow. Absolutely going to be on my 10 best this year. Having a blast with it. It just goes to show when you really look at something differently, you apply different thinking to a problem, when you have an idea that nobody else is doing, it counts for so much, man. Like, this game is not at the bleeding edge of graphics. You know, it's not pushing a million pixels. It's not using fucking god-awful AI for anything. It's just a roguelike formula with a different spin, approached from a different way, and it just is implemented really well. Love and care put into all these aspects. I think it's just a marvelous experience. I love Froggy Hates Snow. It is so fun. Cannot fucking stop playing it. It is a great time. Hugest thumbs up. Big fan. I will circle back when I beat it, but I'll definitely try to get a full review in when I can. All right, folks, we did it. That's all the games I'm going to be talking about today. Game portion of the show officially done, but every week I do spend a few minutes in front of screens that don't have menus or life bars. That's right. It's time for the TV and movie roundup. Not a whole lot to report this week because I've been pretty busy. We watched a lot more of Star Trek Discovery, which is great, getting better as it goes. And Ensign Tilly is like our fucking favorite character. Obviously, I mean, for us, one of the best Star Trek characters ever. We love Tilly so much. She is this full-figured redhead who is fun and quirky and scared and very human. And she really steps up for everybody. And we just fucking love her so much. Tilly is the goddamn best. But everybody in the show is good. They're leaning into the roles, and that's great. What else have I been watching? I've been watching Cops, COPS, with periods in between those. 80s cartoon, which is just trash. But I wanted to check it off my list, so I'm watching every episode. I'm up to episode 50-something. There's been a few high points here and there, but overall, not a great series. A series that is just like a lot of unused potential. Bad writing, bad animation. It's not great. I don't recommend it. I'm just torturing myself here. Also started watching Dino Saucers, another 80s cartoon about dinosaurs from space. Slightly better writing. It's a little funnier. It doesn't take itself quite as seriously. And I got onto Dino Saucers. I mean, I knew about it from back in the day. But on Instagram, I follow a lot of toy people. And there's this guy who is a 3D modeler. And he is just like the fucking most phenomenal 3D modeler. And so he started putting out custom Dino Saucers toys. And I was like, oh my God, those look amazing. And then it made me think of the Dino Saucers. So I started watching it again. It's okay. I don't really recommend it. But, you know, if you like 80s crap like I do, I guess it's fine. But the Dino Saucers themselves look fucking awesome. I ordered a couple of his 3D blueprints. And I do not 3D print myself, but I just ordered them online. There's multiple 3D printing places you can go. Craft Cloud is the one that I use the most. And I got some of the models in, and they just look fucking amazing. They're so good. I need to sand them down and paint them. I'll post some pictures on Instagram or maybe in the Discord when I get them painted up. But man, they look great. Jesus, but today is just the fucking day for interruptions. Apologies. But like I said, I'm not doing any edits, so we're going to just power through. But the only other thing I've really been watching this week, we watched a movie, Ready or Not 2, Here I Come. So this is a direct sequel to the original Ready or Not, which was a pretty big hit, I believe. I forget the name of the lady who is the star, but basically the gist of the first movie was this lady marries into a rich family, and she goes to their estate to, I don't know, have a party or something, engagement party, or maybe they're getting married. I can't remember. Oh, they must be getting married there. Whatever. So they go to this rich people's estate to get married, and it turns out that they're all Satanists, and I forget the gist, but like they had to have her play a game, and she draws like the worst possible game where they have to play hide and seek, and if they catch her, they kill her, and if she can survive until dawn, then she wins, and they all die. And it was just super violent, but also funny and well done, and it was kind of like criticism against the rich, which I think is long overdue. Pretty great movie. I do definitely recommend Ready or Not, number one. So that seemed like a complete experience in and of itself. I wasn't sure where the sequel had anywhere to go, but we watched it, just to see. And man, they actually did a much better job with it than I thought. It picks up literally like the last scene of Ready or Not number one is exactly where Ready or Not 2 starts. So you could literally put those two movies together and they would like seamlessly flow together. So it starts back up. She gets sucked back into the Satanists. They're after her. They do another like hide and seek type of game. It's not like the most brilliant thing in the world, but it is very entertaining. Lots of gruesome kills. They bring the Satanist and supernatural factor back. Not as much as They Will Kill You, which I talked about last week. I think that one had leaned into it a little bit more, which I appreciated. The supernatural element in Ready or Not 2 is pretty light, but it's there. It's there, especially at the ending. But it was good. It was really good. They brought her sister in. I wasn't sure how that was going to work. It worked really well. Just the whole thing was action. If you want like a bunch of people dying in bloody explosions and getting thrown into like machines and stuff, it was just a good time. Ready or Not 2 was legit. It was a good time and worthy of the first one. So that's really all I got this week. Thank you very much. That is a show. Before the closing music, would love for y'all to leave reviews, share the show on social media. Most important of all, please recommend the show to your friends, because nothing beats good old word of mouth. And as always, would love to get your questions and comments. Hit me up, sovideogamespodcast@gmail.com. Also on social media, you can find me on Instagram and Blue Sky. It's my name, BRADGALLAWAY. All A's, no O's. You can also get me in the Soviet Games Discord, which is totally free of charge to join. Just drop me a line through any of the channels I just mentioned, and we'll get you on board to continue the conversation. And you can check out Zebra's super cool little like podcast search function. Kicks ass. Finally, if you like this episode, you want to hear more, you can support this show and sister site GameCritics.com by going over to patreon.com/the Soviet Games Podcast. Every single dollar helps, and €1 helps that much more. Really does. Just $1, folks. All right, that's going to do it, I think. Yep, that's going to do it for episode 488. Thank you again for joining me here in the Soviet Games Podcast, and I'll see you next week.